Now, over the last few days and the last few videos on Skycast, we have kind of talked about how severe weather and hurricane season is expected to pick up towards portions of latter to mid-June. It is officially June 13th as the date of recording this video, and it is absolutely doing that. Let's go ahead and get right into it. And now, everybody, my name is Christian, and welcome back to Skycast. And like I was talking about in the intro, we have a lot to cover. Hurricane season popping off pretty decently, as well as that we have multiple rounds of severe weather on the way, so let's go ahead and cover it. Now, to get into the severe portion of this, National Weather Service has highlighted an enhanced risk of severe weather through portions of Iowa, Illinois, and portions of northern Missouri, and into a little bit of Kansas, but, Kansas not being as much of that elevated threat, although through that slight risk from the upper plains, Texas, Oklahoma, Panhandle, all the way up into portions of Michigan, you do have that potential to see severe storms, even with that marginal risk stretching up even further into portions of the territories towards Canada. Tornado threat for this, although relatively low, we still do have that potential for there to be a tornado. A few tornadoes, actually, and possibly even a strong one with the way 2024 is going. Wind threat with that's going to be 30% significant. Hail threat as well, 30% significant, which is why this is being categorized. This is an upper level threat. It is a level 3 out of 5. It is at 30% significant towards the enhanced. So you need to make sure that you're being weather aware today for those wind gusts in excess of 80 miles an hour. Hail events 4 or 5 inches in diameter. You need to be weather aware today. Severe thunderstorms are expected late this afternoon and early evening across portions of southern Iowa, northern Missouri, and north central Illinois. Very large hail, destructive wind gusts, and a couple of tornadoes all appear possible. A broader corridor of severe hail and wind potential where we're seeing that slight risk will extend from portions of the central high plains and into the Great Lakes. So with that being said, that's the summary for this. You can pause the video to read this hypnosis. I'll scroll through it. Make sure anywhere from Florida too, you can scroll back up, you can see Florida, that torrential rainfall, which we're going to get to later in the video. That torrential rainfall through Florida does have a little bit of that tornado potential, wind and hail potential. So just make sure we're staying weather aware with that as well. As we get into tomorrow, National Weather Service has highlighted a slight risk of severe weather through portions of the high plains into Colorado, into Nebraska, Kansas, and then another slight risk area through portions of the New England states. This does include anywhere from Vermont and New Hampshire all the way down into portions of Virginia, areas of like New York. So once again, today, although a pretty lower threat for severe storms, you still need to be on the ball and being weather aware Friday. That 2% tornado threat through the high plains risk. Both of these do have that wind and that hail potential. Not as significant with some of these. That slight risk through portions of the New England states, kind of being more wind driven than hail driven. But still, you need to be on the ball. You need to make sure you're being weather aware and you're being safe. Scattered severe storms with large hail events and wind gusts of 60 to 80 miles an hour will be possible. So just scattered strong to storms with sporadic damaging winds, isolated hail events will be possible through the northeast as well. And you can pause to read this hypnosis here if you would like. And then we get into portions of day 3 where we have that marginal risk of severe weather through portions of Iowa, South Dakota, Nebraska, and then another one through portions of North Dakota. Probabilistic of this being a severe event is 5%, but would not be surprised to see this get upgraded. So, you can see that these next few days is going to be that event that we're seeing for severe weather. So it's kind of like a back set of storms, I guess you could say. So that's going to be this event. Then we have another one on the way, which I'll get to in just a minute. Isolated severe thunderstorms are possible on Saturday across parts of the middle Missouri Valley vicinity, as well as far northeast into western central North Dakota, where we're seeing that risk up there. And you may pause to read the hypnosis if you would like to. And then we have a day highlighted on day 5, which is pretty far out for the most part. South Dakota, North Dakota, into portions of Minnesota and Iowa. We do have that 15% confidence of there to be a severe storm within 25 miles of a point. So make sure that this is going to be that second event, so make sure, once again, I've said this multiple times throughout the video, people have been kind of letting it go. Do not let it go. Stay weather aware. Keep watching this site. Keep watching your local National Weather Service office and your news crew people. Make sure you know what to do in the case of a severe weather event. Now, as we're looking at the Weather Prediction Center, we have a possible catastrophic day ahead of us. We do have this high risk of excessive rainfall. You may think in that severe weather, that is not. This is how much rainfall has fallen. Now, we do have this slight risk where we're seeing today's severe weather event through portions of Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, and Missouri. That's not the concern. I'm shifting down to Florida, where we have major rainfall from a tropical system, Invest 90L, that is currently impacting the area. And if we scroll down here, you know, the Weather Prediction Center is highlighting the very excessive rainfall. Another round of significant rainfall will remain for the remnant of flooding in place for the next few days. The lines for the I-75 corridor, and at least 2 to 3 inches from what we're seeing. That does not mean it's just going to be 2 to 3 inches. This can be a lot higher, and we've already seen areas of 14, 15, almost 16 inches of rain through Florida. So you need to be weather aware and on the ball today about this. And as we do look at Tornado HQ, you can see that with this set of storms, it has been producing some severe weather with this. You can see these tornado warnings for areas of rotation. One of these actually did touch down, but I don't think it's on. Yeah, I don't think it's on Tornado HQ here, but one of them actually did touch down. So you can see these tornado warnings through the areas that we're seeing this excessive flooding area. And that kind of goes to show that we need to be on the ball and making sure that we're prepared for anything that the weather may throw at us. Now you can see, if we're looking kind of to the back a few hours, this is kind of the area that we're highlighting right here that we were seeing impacting Florida, and that did, you know, produce a few of those tornado warnings. You can see with that new system, which I'll get into in a second, already producing a special weather statement. But if we do back that up, and you can see, you know, that's where that storm once again kind of started to form back towards portions of western Florida, and it has just continuously continued to impact Florida with that moderate to heavy rainfall. So that's why we do have this flash flooding lightly MCD in effect, as well as that all these flooding reports down here through this. So just make sure to turn around, don't drown, don't do something stupid, and overall just make sure we're all staying safe. Now, with some of these storms, we do already have an MCD through portions of Michigan down into portions of Illinois, where we do have that 60% possibility of there to see some sort of severe thunderstorm watch through that. So likely we'll have a severe thunderstorm watch pop up through there. But what we're going to be highlighting is generally this area through here for the main threat. We do have that significant severe threat going all the way down through portions of Wichita and back up. So, you know, this is going to be the main threat, but these areas do have that possibility to see some significant severe storms with this. So we are going to kind of go through the timeline of what we are expecting. And you can see it remains quite calm through the area, which can be considered a bad thing because you don't have that convection to kind of wipe out the severe risk. You have that heating of the day, the clouds moving out. The only storms that are really there is going to be this, and that isn't even in the severe weather risk. So make sure these storms are there. They're going to be there, and they could have that. They do have that potential to become severe where we don't have any of that convection or anything. But about 4 p.m., some cells starting to fire up east of Chicago. So we're going to be watching those initially. But more of that concern is as we get into portions of 5, 6 o'clock where these cells explode through the enhanced risk. You can see that one popping up about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 Central Standard Time. On the Iowa border, and then that explodes into a big cell, crosses over into portions of Missouri, and that's going to be your initial risk that we're seeing for those severe storms. That's going to bring that tornado threat, that damaging wind threat, that very large hail threat, and that will continue on through 8, 9, 10 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, you're going to be looking at these storms over here through the other side of this enhanced risk. These are going to move out to Kansas City. That side, that's going to be pretty much over with. You're going to be watching this side now for that damaging wind, hail, possibly a tornado or two. And then that really organizes really well. If we zoom in on that a little bit, you can just see that major hail threat from what the HRRR is actually showing with this cell right here. Oop, wrong button. But that's going to be just north of Springfield, and then by 12:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that should hopefully move off. And then this will go into a lower end tornado threat, but we'll have with that, that possibility for some swath damaging winds, some hail, things like that. And I was going to go ahead and change over to tropics, but as soon as that happened, the actual severe thunderstorm watch was issued. So with this, we are going to go ahead and cover this. This does go through northern Illinois, northern Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, and Lake Michigan. This expires at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Scattered large hail and isolated very large hail up to 2.5 inches in diameter possible. A scattered damaging wind gust up to 70 miles an hour possible, and a tornado or two, once again, there being highlighted. This is not even in the main zone, so you're seeing that large, very large hail, winds of 70 miles an hour. That kind of goes to show what we're actually expecting in that enhanced risk. Tornado threat for this, fairly low at that 20% over 5%, 40 over 20 for wind, and then 50 over 30 for hail, with an overall combined risk of about 70. So that's what we're looking at for this area, the Great Lakes over into portions of Chicago, into Illinois, and then starting to get into that enhanced risk area where that MCD will come in the next few hours. Now, before we do in this video, one thing I want to highlight is the tropical development area, and you can see 3 areas of concern, one being west of Florida, one being west of Mexico, and then one being west of Guatemala City, east of Mexico and Florida, my bad. But down towards Guatemala City, a 10 to 20% chance of that. So overall, a low development chance. East of Florida, a 20 over 20 development chance. So overall, with those, not high. But now we're getting into a growing concern for this one right here. East of Mexico City in the Gulf of Mexico, a 0 to 40% chance of a 7-day development. That is the highest we have seen this year so far. So we could see something pop up here within the next 7 days, a tropical depression of some sort. And if that does happen, that will likely come over this direction towards Texas and Louisiana. That's not a direct path because we don't really have that yet, but that's just kind of the general area that we're expecting. So continuing to watch this, not a major concern, but don't sleep on it. We're going to continue to watch this to make sure it doesn't do anything of concern. So besides that, that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure we're staying weather aware and we're being safe. I've said that too many times throughout this video. Trying just to get that point across, we need to stay weather aware and be on the ball about this. So thank you for choosing Skycast as your go-to weather. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.